Doink.
PBS Kids.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue seas, fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the island of Sodor.
It was a beautiful summer's day on the island of Sodor. Thomas and Spencer were in the repair shed. Spencer was having his wheels polished till they gleamed, while Thomas was getting a hole in his vacuum pipe repaired.
Why do you always get special treatment? I wish I could get my wheels polished.
I'm a privately owned engine, little Thomas. I'm far above you dirty Sodor engines.
This made Thomas very cross. Just then, Sir Topham had arrived. He had very important news for Spencer.
The Duke and Duchess of Boxford have arranged a very important afternoon tea party at Great Waterton, he boomed. Spencer, you are to collect them from Knapford Station and have them dropped off at Great Waterton by tea time. Yes, sir. This is a job for a really useful engine, not a very silly one.
This made Thomas crosser than ever. But just as Sir Topham Hatt was about to leave, an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
Excuse me, sir, but who will take the Duke and Duchess back home after the party?
Well, I suppose that would be up to the Duke and Duchess.
If I get my jobs done in time, may I take them back home after the party?
Well, I'll have to speak with the Duke and Duchess, but I think that's a splendid idea, Thomas.
Thomas beamed, and with that Sir Topham Hatt left. Spencer was in shock.
Sir Topham Hatt must be off his rocker, he cried.
What's wrong, Spencer? Worried a dirty old Sodor engine may have a chance at collecting the Duke and Duchess?
Of course not, spluttered Spencer. You'll never be able to stay as clean and spotless as I. The Duke and Duchess only ride in the cleanest of engines and the tidiest of coaches. I'd like to see you stay clean all day.
Oh, yeah? Well, we Sodor engines can be as clean as any engine.
Thomas sniffed and wheeshed away. But secretly, Thomas was worried he wouldn't be able to stay as spick and span as Spencer. Thomas's first job was to collect coal cars at the coaling plant and take them to Crew Station. Emily was there waiting to be filled up with coal. Please be quick, Thomas. I'm to collect the Sodor football team today, and I can't be late, she chirped.
Don't worry, Emily. I'll have my cars filled up in a couple of puffs.
But the troublesome trucks were being extra troublesome. On, they cried, and with all their might they shoved Thomas under the hopper. Thomas was covered from buffer to buffer in coal dust. Not your best look, Thomas, chuckled Emily. But Thomas was upset.
I can't get any more dirty. I must prove to Spencer that we Sodor engines are really clean ones,
he thought to himself, and quickly steamed out of the coaling plant. Meanwhile, Spencer was collecting the Duke and Duchess from Knapford Station. He was very pleased.
Pah, Thomas doesn't stand a chance.
Soon Thomas arrived at Cruise Station. His freight cars were uncoupled, and he was off to his next job. Thomas's next job was to help Percy take a train of flour to the flour mill. Glad to see you here, Thomas. You're right on time.
Of course, Percy, but we must be careful.
Percy was rather puzzled. It's just flour, Thomas.
Yes, but I'm trying to prove to Spencer that we Sodor engines can be just as clean as any engine. So I'd like to avoid any mishaps.
Ah, well, no worries, Thomas. I'll puff as carefully as I can.
Thank you, Percy.
The two were coupled up to the flour wagons and puffed carefully away. As Thomas and Percy chuffed through the countryside, Percy noticed something up ahead. It was Edward. Edward had brought a group of workmen to the track to remove a fallen telegraph pole. Stop, Thomas! They stopped just in time, but Thomas and Percy were both covered from firebox to cab in flour. I'm sorry, you two. The signalman didn't give us a heads up that you were coming. Oh, that's all right, Edward.
Bother.
Soon the line was cleared, and Thomas and Percy continued on their way to the flour mill. On the other side of the island, Spencer had to stop at Dry House Station. The Duke and Duchess had to sign some very important papers in the station house.
We're running low on coal, Spencer, old boy. We should really fill up.
Spencer thought for a moment.
Coal will make me dirty, and the Duke and Duchess would never want to ride in a dirty engine. No worries, driver, I'll be fine.
Just then, the Duke and Duchess walked out of the station and boarded the train once more.
But Spencer, zip it.
Eventually, Thomas and Percy arrived at the flour mill. Thomas was uncoupled and steamed away to his last job. Sorry about the mess, Thomas. Thomas's last job was to collect a train of tar wagons and take them to Maithwaite Station. Thank you, Thomas. This tar will be used to fix holes in the road up by the village.
No problem, Birdie. Must stay clean, must stay clean,
he huffed to himself. On his way to Maithwaite Station, he saw James up ahead.
Brakes, driver, now!
Tar shot out of the tankers and spilt all over Thomas. Flatten my funnel, Thomas. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Believe me, I know what a pain tar can be. Soon James's crew managed to build up enough steam to slink him onto a siding out of the way. Workmen will be here soon to mend me. I'm sorry, Thomas. I didn't know you were coming.
It's okay, James.
Thomas wheezed sadly. Now I'm as filthy as ever. It was late in the afternoon by the time Thomas had dropped off the tar wagons. He collected Annie and Clarabelle from the station and quickly huffed away to Great Waterton. Soon Thomas arrived at Great Waterton Station. Thomas had puffed so quickly that coal dust had flown onto Annie and Clarabelle too. The whole train was filthy.
Ha! Told you. Sodor engines are filthy little engines meant for menial work. Next time, you should leave the important work to me.
Just then, the Duke and Duchess walked out of Great Waterton Station.
All right, Spencer. You ready? Yes, sir.
But as Spencer tried to wheeze steam, he found that he couldn't.
What's going on, Spencer? I'm going to miss my aeroplane. Oh, I knew I should have taken on coal. Now I'm all out.
I have plenty of coal, sir. May I take you two to the airport?
You? Cried Spencer. You're filthy little Thomas. He may be dirty,
But Thomas has been a really useful engine.
and you've been a really silly one.
Spencer was in disgrace. The Duke and Duchess hopped aboard Annie and Clarabelle, and Thomas steamed out of the station.
Dirty or clean, I'm a really useful machine.
The children are going to school. Bertie has brought them to the station early today, so they must wait for Gordon. Listen, what's that? There's a train coming, so it could be Gordon. But look, this engine has a tall, thin funnel, and it only has 4 driving wheels. Do you know who that is? It's Edward! The children like seeing Edward, but today he is carrying coal. The children still have to wait for Gordon. Listen, what's that? There's another train coming. I wonder if this one is Gordon. It's another blue engine, but look, they have big water tanks over their wheels. And they have the number 1 on their side. That's not Gordon, but do you know who it is? That's right, it's Thomas, and he is pulling Annie and Clarabelle. But Thomas isn't stopping at this station today, so the children still have to wait for Gordon. Listen, another train is coming. I hope this one is Gordon. It's another blue engine. This engine has a very short funnel. This engine is very big and very fast. It's Gordon! The children have waited patiently for Gordon, and now Gordon will get them to school on time. Well done, Gordon!
Edward is one of the oldest engines on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. But despite his age, he is one of Sodor's hardest workers, and is always there to help a friend. It was morning on Sodor, and Sir Topham Hatt arrived bright and early to give the engines their jobs for the day.
Good morning, engines.
Good morning, sir.
James?
Yes, morning, good, sir.
Good. Now that I have everyone's attention, Percy, I need you to take a train of milk from the dairy to market. James, I need you to take passengers to Black Lock. Edward, you are to take a train of important freight cars to Great Waterton, and Thomas, you are to shunt the train for Edward.
Yes, sir.
That should do it, Edward.
Thank you, Thomas.
What's wrong, Edward?
I haven't pulled a train this long in a while, Thomas. Just need to build up some more steam, that's all.
Don't strain yourself, Edward. Take it easy.
But the truck still wouldn't budge, and Thomas was worried for his friend.
Edward, I'll take your train for you.
But it's my train, Thomas. I wouldn't feel right having you take it.
And I wouldn't feel right knowing that if you were taking the train, it'd be wearing you out.
I know I'm not as strong as Gordon, but I didn't think I'd ever see myself struggling with a goods train.
Don't be silly, Edward. Probably just took on the wrong coal this morning.
Well, I'm coming with you, Thomas. I'd feel bad if I let you go alone.
You got it, Edward.
As the two puffed down the countryside, Thomas's water tanks were running low, so they stopped for Thomas to fill up. Just then, James huffed in. He was taking passengers to Blacklock. Edward, I think Thomas is capable of taking his own train. He may not be the smartest, or the strongest, or the fastest. Actually, maybe he does need another engine watching him.
You come up with that one yourself, James?
Huh?
Right.
Anyway, James, I'm well aware that Thomas can manage his own train. He's just helping me out today. Oh, poor old Edward's finally calling it quits. Hanging up the old piston rods. At his final destination, everyone hop aboard. Next stop, the scrapyard. Oh, I crack myself up. James, you're really something else. The signal at Dryall Station was red, so the two had to stop.
Well, what do we have here? Need help pulling the train, Thomas?
I don't need help, Spencer. I've been pulling this lot just fine on my own.
Really? Then why's Edward with you,
Actually, Spencer, Thomas is helping me out today.
Oh my, that's embarrassing. You'd never catch me asking another engine to take my train for me.
Come on, Edward. Spencer's being silly.
What kind of circus is Sir Topham Hatt running?
Eventually, the two arrived at Great Waterton, and the station staff began unloading the trucks.
Well, we made it, Edward.
But now everyone's gonna think I'm not useful anymore.
I'm sorry, Edward. I was only trying to help. I just noticed that when you were trying to pull the train that you were struggling and
That's the problem, Thomas. I'm not able to pull trains anymore, so Topham Hatt's going to send me for scrap.
Well, hello there, Edward. James told me that you needed Thomas to pull your train. How pathetic. I would never.
Gordon, quit it.
Oh, what? What's old clapped-out Edward gonna do about it? All right, your trucks have been unloaded. You can take them back to the yard now.
I'll show you what I'll do. Thomas, I'll take the trucks back to the yard.
But Edward...
I got this, Thomas. Thank you for your help today, Thomas, but it's time for old clapped-out Edward to show everyone what a really useful engine looks like.
Go, Edward!
Pah!
Just then Edward saw Gordon again. He was coming back from the washdown. Gordon wanted to tease Edward, but when he saw how hard Edward was working, he felt bad about what he had said earlier.
Go get him, Edward!
Edward smiled. For the first time all day, he felt like a really useful engine. But all of a sudden, Edward's wheels started making a strange noise, and he felt himself going slower and slower. What's happening to me? Edward's driver pulled him onto a siding out of the way.
You've pushed yourself too hard, Edward. You've burst a cylinder.
Oh dear.
Hello, Edward. You don't look so good.
I've broken down, Percy. Do you think you could take me back to the sheds?
Shouldn't I let Sir Topham Hatt know first?
If Sir Topham Hatt knows I broke down, then I'm destined for the scrap heap.
Edward,
I don't want Sir Topham Hatt to know.
If you say so, Edward.
Thank you, Percy. It was late in the evening by the time Percy and Edward had gotten back to the sheds. Thank you for your help, Percy.
no problem, Edward.
Edward, I need to have a word with you.
Yes, sir.
The Great Waterton station master called me earlier today. He told me that Thomas was the one to deliver the freight cars to the station, not you.
Well, sir,
And why did Percy shunt you to the sheds? What's going on, Edward?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I tried taking the train this morning, but I just couldn't gather the steam. So Thomas offered to take it for me.
Then what?
Then when we got to Great Waterton, I told Thomas I would take the trucks back on the return trip, but I ended up breaking down and Percy had to take me back to Tidmouth Sheds.
Well, Edward, I'm going to have to... sir, if I may, I saw Edward taking the freight cars back today. He was working very hard, sir, and, well, I was silly for thinking otherwise. Please, sir, don't send Edward to the scrapyard, sir. Well, Edward, I'm disappointed that you didn't tell me that you were having trouble today. But I'm glad you worked hard when you did. I would never scrap my number 2 blue engine. You're essential to the railway, Edward. You just need some new parts, that's all.
You really mean it, sir?
Of course, Edward. Any engine with a worn cylinder, young or old, is going to struggle with a heavy load. A quick trip to the works and you'll be good as new.
Edward smiled. Looks like this old-timer's not going to be seeing the scrapyard anytime soon.
Percy has run out of coal. He is sad because he can't go anywhere until another engine arrives with some more. Thomas wants to cheer his friend up. He's going to tell Percy a story. Thomas wants to use things around him in the story. See if you can help him. Thomas asks Percy which engine he wants the story to be about. A fast engine. Thomas sees Toby, Harry, and Gordon. Which is the fastest? That's right. Gordon is a fast engine. Thomas is going to make up a story about Gordon.
Once, there was a fast engine called Gordon. One day, he was steaming quickly to...
Thomas asked Percy where he'd like Gordon to go.
Somewhere exciting.
Thomas sees a field, a bus stop, and a poster for the circus. Which is the most exciting? Good work! The circus is the most exciting place.
One day, Gordon was puffing quickly to the circus. He was very excited to see...
Thomas asked Percy what Gordon should see.
Something special.
Thomas sees coal cars, milk churns, and the Chinese dragon. Which is the most special? Yes, the Chinese dragon is very special.
One day, Gordon steamed quickly to the circus. He was very excited to see the special Chinese dragon.
Percy thought it was the best story he'd ever heard. In fact, Percy's going to tell the story to James while he waits for his coal. Well done, Thomas.
It was a bright, sunny morning on the island of Sodor. Emily, James, Thomas, and Gordon were all called to Knapford Station. Sir Topham Hatt told them he had very important news.
A famous artist is coming to Sodor to paint a special mural for an art exhibition in London.
Famous, you say?
Yes, very famous indeed. I have arranged for Gordon to pick him up from the station later today. Why, thank you, sir. I'll make sure I look my best. Splendid, Gordon. James, you are to arrange the coaches for the train.
Yes, sir. Arranging the special train is almost as important as pulling it.
I doubt that.
How about me, sir?
Thomas, you are to puff down to Crewe Station. I have a surprise for you waiting there.
Oh, why, thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir. What's my important job?
Ah, yes. Emily, you are to take a group of school children to town for a field trip. They will be waiting at Maithwaite Station for you to collect them.
And with that, Sir Topham Hatt left.
Well, there's no use lying around here. I must go get ready to collect the famous artist.
And I better get a washdown so I look my best arranging the train.
I wonder what's waiting for me at Crewe Station.
Thomas, Gordon, and James all got special jobs. Why didn't I? As Emily puffed to Maithwaite Station to collect the children, her signal was red, so she had to stop. Percy was there.
Hello, Emily. You look upset.
A famous artist is coming to the island today. All the other engines got important jobs like collecting the artist from the station and arranging a special train, except for me.
Well, if the others got important jobs, then maybe the artist has another special job planned for you.
What do you mean, Percy?
Well, if he's an artist, then he's probably coming to Sodor to find something to paint. And if you're not the one collecting him from the station or arranging his train, then maybe the artist wants to paint you.
You're right, Percy. Sir Topham Hatt probably wants it to be a surprise. That's why he's given everyone else the important jobs, because he wants me to look my best.
I don't know for sure, Emily.
But you never know. And Percy wheeshed away. Just then, Emily's signal changed, and she huffed off to Maithwaite Station. Emily arrived just in time to collect the children. James was at the washdown. Say, James, you finished with your wash yet?
I just got started.
That's a real shame. I should be the one getting a wash down, so maybe you should hurry it up.
You must wait your turn. Besides, why do you need a wash down so urgently?
Because, James, I need to look my best for my painting.
Your painting? What makes you so sure that the artist will paint you?
Why wouldn't he? I'm the smartest engine on the whole of Sodor. I have perfect paint and big wheels.
Big wheels don't make a big engine.
Time to go.
Huh. Well, I don't need a wash down anyway. I always look my best. What's that workman doing beside the track?
I'm not too sure. Let's ask him.
Go slowly. Diesel has broken up just down the line.
Don't worry, we'll keep at a steady pace.
Silly diesels. So, Diesel, I heard you've broken down.
Something in this new fuel isn't sitting right in my tank. So I brought workmen to help drain the nasty fuel out.
Well, you wouldn't catch me breaking down. I have to be ready for my painting.
Are you talking about the famous artist? How do you know he'll paint a picture of you?
Because I'm the most splendid engine on the whole of Sodor.
Well, what if the artist wants to paint a picture of me? Oh, yeah, or me.
Don't be silly, you two. You don't have the elegance.
Emily, I think you're in denial.
No, Edward, I'm on Sodor. The Nile is a river in Egypt. Everyone knows that.
What's her problem? I don't know.
Emily puffed alongside the church that led into town to drop off the children. But just as she was stopping, Thomas puffed out of Crew Station. He looked very splendid.
Hello, Emily. Sir Topham Hatt had me painted in a special coat of paint.
You do look rather smart, Thomas.
Thank you, Emily. Sir Topham Hatt wanted to reward me for helping Percy in the rain a while ago.
That's great, Thomas.
I'd love to stay and chat, but I told Gordon I'd meet him and James at Natford. Goodbye.
Oh no. Now the artist is going to want to paint a picture of Thomas instead of me. Emily was uncoupled from her coaches and sadly puffed away. As Emily was puffing home, she noticed Thomas and Gordon waiting by a field. Hello, Thomas. Hello, Gordon. What are you two doing here?
Hello, Emily. We're watching the artist paint.
What's he painting?
He's painting that tree over there in the field. Wouldn't have been my first choice.
You mean the artist came all the way down to Sodor to paint pictures of the scenery?
Well, he never said he'd be painting an engine.
And all this time I thought he was going to paint a picture of me. Now I feel silly.
He may not be painting an engine, but if he was going to paint a picture of anywhere, I think he made a right choice of choosing our home, the island of Sodor.
And despite not being painted herself, Emily had to agree.